Hey everyone, welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're taking a trip to a mysterious island with Lost, the groundbreaking 2004 TV phenomenon that kept us all guessing week after week. With its mind-bending twists, unforgettable characters and iconic moments, Lost changed the landscape of television. But how much do you know about the secrets behind the scenes? Well, there's so much about this show, we have had to divide it up into two parts, as we don't want the videos to be too long. So let's go down the hatch and discover the first 20 things you never knew about Lost. In the summer of 2003, Lloyd Braun, then chairman of ABC Entertainment, was on holiday in Hawaii when a chance viewing of Castaway sparked an idea. What would a television version of that film look like? Inspiration struck as he considered the reality show Survivor. He envisioned a scenario where a plane crash leaves a dozen strangers stranded, allowing them to reinvent themselves in a world where their pasts are almost irrelevant. The central questions would be, how do you survive and how do you escape the island and get home? Braun decided to name the show Lost. With the support of Tom Sherman, ABC's head of drama development, they brought on screenwriter Jeffrey Lieber to work on the pilot. When Braun received Lieber's script, it fell short of expectations. Lieber had renamed the show Nowhere and crafted a darker, more emotional story, including a grim pilot scene where a child mistakes drowning victims for swimmers. Disappointed, Braun considered shelving the project, but with ABC struggling and his own position uncertain, he pressed on. Braun approached J.J. Abrams, creator of the spy drama Alias. Initially skeptical, Abrams envisioned the island as something more mysterious and unusual. When Braun embraced this twist, Abrams agreed to join, but enlisted Damon Lindelof to help develop the show. Lindelof proposed using flashbacks to explore characters' pasts, addressing the inevitable audience focus on escaping the island. Abrams added elements like the hatch and the mysterious others. Together they created a 22-page outline in just 5 days, leading Braun to greenlight the project. Though his script was rejected, Lieber received co-creator credit for his contributions to the original concept, which influenced the final pilot. A leaked document from May 2004 reveals an early network-driven vision for Lost that was episodic and less mythological, vastly different from the eventual series. Damon Lindelof clarified that this series format was meant solely to convince ABC of the show's longevity and was never intended for public viewing. Created during the pilot's production, it secured the series' green light, though most ideas were discarded during actual writing. Here are just a few of the details presented. The smoke monster would have been resolved in the first few episodes. There wasn't supposed to be a central mystery, and most of the plane's passengers were only meant to appear in the early episodes. Guest stars were planned to play a crucial role in the show, but the most surprising aspect was that everything was going to have a scientific explanation. Lost was set to begin filming in late March, but by Braun's account, Abrams didn't join the project until January. Braun estimated they completed the pilot episode within 6 to 8 weeks. Meanwhile, Abrams has said they had just 11 weeks to write the script, cast the show, film it, complete post-production, and deliver the 2-part pilot. Either way, the timeline was undeniably tight. John Hamm auditioned for Jack, and Michael Keaton had even been cast for the role, but ended up leaving. The role ultimately went to Matthew Fox, best known at the time for Party of Five. After auditioning more than 60 actresses, the producers cast Evangeline Lilly as Kate, despite her resume consisting mainly of uncredited background roles and a few commercials. Initially, Sun and Jin were envisioned as an older Japanese couple. However, after Yeonjin Kim auditioned for Kate, they were so impressed that they made Sun and Jin Korean and younger. Forrest Whitaker was originally cast as Sawyer, but eventually dropped out to direct the film First Daughter, which just so happened to star Michael Keaton as the US president. Then Josh Holloway landed the role just as he was preparing to leave acting to pursue a career in real estate. Jorge Garcia was cast as Hurley after Abrams spotted him on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Many shows undergo significant changes between the initial pilot script and filming, and Lost was no exception. For instance, Kate was originally not going to be a convict. More dramatically, Jack Shepherd would have died halfway through the pilot. They believed this twist would establish that no one was safe on the island. However, some who read the script opposed the idea, arguing it would shatter the audience's trust in the show. Abrams was unconvinced until he shared the script with Greg Grunberg, an Alias actor and one of his oldest friends. Grunberg loved the script except for Jack's death, which he said infuriated him. Ultimately, Jack's character was spared, which is why Keaton stepped away from the project. Abrams, however, found a way to involve Grunberg, casting him as the pilot of Oceanic Flight 815, only to have the island's mysterious monster kill him early on. If you're enjoying the video, a subscribe to the channel would be more satisfying than punching in those numbers to reset the clock. Transporting a decommissioned plane fuselage to Hawaii for a TV shoot isn't exactly budget-friendly, which may explain why the two-part pilot episode of Lost, filmed over 20 days, cost between $10 to $14 million. At the time, this made it the most expensive pilot ever produced, far surpassing the typical $4 million budget for hour-long pilots. The hefty price tag might also explain why ABC asked Abrams to give the pilot a definitive ending, so they could air it as a movie when it didn't get picked up to series. Abrams has said, "I remember saying, if you tell me how to end it, I'll shoot it." They never responded. While filming the pilot, the cast apparently went skinny dipping. It was Matthew Fox who encouraged almost the entire cast to strip down and take a dip. He said at the time he thought that everybody taking their clothes off was a good way to bond. Abrams designed the show's title card, which features the word Lost slightly out of focus on a black background, as a nod to the opening sequence of one of his favourite shows, The Twilight Zone. Lloyd Broad, who came up with the initial idea, was dismissed by ABC before Lost began airing. To keep him involved, Abrams asked him to provide the voiceover for the previously on Lost segment at the start of episodes. Braun agreed, but only on the condition that the information remained a secret within the Lost inner circle. Naturally, the secret eventually leaked. The numbers 4, 8, 15, 16, 23 and 42 featured prominently throughout the show. Writer David Fury has said he came up with 4 as it's the number of years Locke was in a wheelchair, 8 and 15 because of Oceanic Flight 815, and 42 because it's the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe and everything, a nod to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The number 23 was apparently because of Damon Lindelof's interest in Robert Anton Wilson, who popularized the 23 Enigma, which suggests that the number 23 appears with unusual frequency in various contexts and may be a symbol of some larger hidden special significance. The smoke monster's sound was created by manipulating the noises of a taxi printer, bear growls, and the clicking of cicadas, among other things. Standard smoke simulations didn't give the producers the effect they were hoping for, so visual effects artists built a digital model that generated the smoke and controlled the monster's movement. They then layered stock footage of real smoke over the digital effect. In the early seasons, so much computing power was needed that rendering just one frame of the animation took hours. Visual effects supervisor Mitch Suskin described their ability to complete the effect on schedule as miraculous. The network had an issue with the Season 2 episode Dave, which takes place inside Hurley's mind. At the time, one of the prominent fan theories was that the entire show was a massive hallucination. As Lindelof recalled, the original draft was a great cause of concern. ABC felt it was advancing an idea that offered an explanation for the entire show. How the writers adjusted the episode to make it air, if they made any changes at all, remains unclear. Carlton Cuse, a showrunner and executive producer on the show, has said that among their regrets was an introduction of Nikki and Paolo in Season 3. characters who were revealed to have been on the beach since day one, albeit in the background. The pair's storyline was wrapped up in a single episode titled Exposé, which quickly became one of the most despised episodes of the series. They also regretted exploring the origins of Jack's tattoos, also in Season 3, which Hughes described as cringeworthy. However, there was a silver lining. These missteps helped convince ABC that the show needed to come to an eventual conclusion. After the hatch was introduced, the creators realized they needed a reason for it to exist. They came up with the idea of Medusa Corp, a scientific research group that would have been responsible for the plane's crash. However, the writers decided to scrap the name and opted for the acronym DARMA, Department of Heuristics and Research on Material Applications, initiative instead. The department became a central part of the show, introducing the Others Camp, which was actually a retrofitted YMCA in Oahu. The producers knew they wanted Charlie's band to be a one-hit wonder and that they wanted to feature one of their songs, but they weren't certain what the track would be. Dominic Monaghan reportedly even wrote a potential song with a friend, but the producers decided instead to go with an inside joke. While watching the show's dailies around the video monitors, the producers often quoted an audience member from an episode of the Phil Donahue show they'd seen years earlier. The person had said, "You all, everybody, are acting like it's the stupid people wearing the expensive clothes." Producer Brian Burke said, "At one point, in a delirious stupor, we realized we had said it so many times that it had to be the song. Abrams came up with the melody for the chorus the day they shot the scene in the pilot where Kate is trying to figure out where she knows Charlie from, and he sings a bit of the song. The full song and lyrics were featured in the Season 1 episode The Moth. The song was also played in the background at a party in the Season 4 episode of Alias, titled The Awful Truth. Mr. Echo was initially conceived as a pacifist priest from Nigeria, a role that appealed to Adewale Akinoye Agbaje, who wanted to break away from his history of playing gangsters and criminals. However, the character was reimagined as a darker former smuggler after producers saw his intense performance in HBO's Oz. Despite the change, he was more than satisfied with the character's development. Reflecting on his flashback episode, he said, "The character was complete. It was such a well-written episode that I knew I would be able to sew him up in a season." Composer Michael Giacchino reportedly used parts of the plane's fuselage as percussion in the show's Emmy-winning score. He has remained a close collaborator with J.J. Abrams throughout the director's blockbuster career, composing the scores for all 3 Star Trek films and Super 8. In the pilot episode, there are scenes where Josh Holloway attempts to hide his southern accent as a character choice. However, after J.J. Abrams informed him that his accent was one of the reasons he was cast, Holloway reverted to using it. In the first season, viewers couldn't help but notice the unusually long fingernails of survivor Sayed Jarrah, played by Naveen Andrews. The reason for this had little to do with the plot or character. Rather, Andrews kept his nails long so he could play guitar during breaks in filming. Eventually, Andrews did trim them down a bit though. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about Lost. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.